Hello, 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 all of you awesome parents getting ready to learn all about sleep. You have come to the right place if you want good sleep for at least the first trimester, or for at least the fourth trimester, okay? Hi, guys. Scan that QR code that you're seeing on the screen right now because that means that you're going to get to download all of my notes, my handouts. So you're not going to have to make any notes here, okay? Unless you like it, all right? So scan that QR code. You're just going to have to put your name and your email so that I can email you the presentation. It's going to be a very scaled back version of the presentation that I'm sharing with you right now, but it allows you to not have to sit there like, transcribing everything or taking screenshots or all that kind of stuff. Plus, of course, you're going to be able to have this replay accessible for the next few months. But you know what? It's always nice to have like a Coles Notes version of it with you, right? So scan that QR code. It's going to be gone on the screen in a few seconds as I move on with the presentation. But you're going to learn everything that there is to learn about safe sleep. We're going to start with safe sleep first. And then we're going to go into how to get your newborn sleeping really, really well over those first 16 weeks, okay? All right, scan your QR codes. It's going in a couple seconds. FileNet file. Oh, Tracy, you're going to have to, I want to say delete the file. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, you know, guys, here, I'm going to do something real quick. See this? There's always little things that happen every time I do this. Last time, you couldn't see my screen. This time, totally different. Here, I'm going to put the link in the chat for you guys, okay? Here we go. It's going to say it's a newborn sleep guide, okay? Link in the chat. Don't worry about the QR code. Click that link that's in the chat right now, okay? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Okay. Yes, please keep hearting that so that everyone can find it. All right. So if you sign up for that, just put your due date, all that kind of stuff, and then you'll get emailed. You'll get emailed all of this so that you can save that for later. Awesome. You guys are amazing. I feel like we're family. Okay, so we're going to go right into who am I? So for those who haven't met me yet, I feel like I've met most of you, but if you haven't met me, I'm Allison Macklin. I'm CEO and founder of Sleep of Mind. We are a company all about helping parents lower their anxiety so that they can get more sleep. You're going to see how that works all the way through this presentation, but I'm a sleep consultant. I was certified by the Family Sleep Institute. I'm also a certified hand-in-hand parenting instructor, and I work with families of all different shapes and sizes, all ages, to help get them sleeping better, managing separation anxiety and all these other different types of things, right? So feel free to ask your questions. I'm definitely going to get to as many as I can. I'm going to get to all of them after the presentation in my own booth, so don't be afraid if there's tons and tons of questions in there. Get your question in there. I will absolutely be answering it, all right? I'm going to go pretty quickly because I want to try and pack in as much as I possibly can for you guys. So the first thing that we have to talk about is SIDS, because when it comes to safe sleep, when it comes to good sleep, we really want to make sure that we're understanding how to keep our babies safe. So if you haven't heard about SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, it's a very scary thing. It also doesn't happen to many families as long as they're practicing safe sleep practices, which I'm going to go through with you guys, okay? So sudden infant death syndrome is basically when your baby's sleeping in a safe sleep environment and they all of a sudden stop breathing in their sleep, okay? I'm going to tell you about the unsafe sleep environments because that's actually the majority of infant deaths during sleep, okay? It's a very, very tiny amount of children who pass away in a safe sleep environment just due to SIDS. There's tremendously more children, infants, newborns who pass away because they're not sleeping in a safe sleep environment. So if you can see on the screen here, and this is what the handout's for, because the handout's going to go through all the details without you having to try and zoom in and memorize and all that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that we're sleeping on a flat surface, not an inclined surface. An approved crib mattress is essentially what you're looking for, crib or bassinet, okay? You want to make sure it's not an adult mattress because adult mattresses are not as firm. And trust me, babies, newborns, they do not care about how soft the mattress is, okay? They really don't. There are other things that they do care about that we're going to talk about later in terms of getting them longer stretches of sleep, but it's not the mattress that's the issue. So you want to make sure that it's just a mattress and it's a fitted sheet, and that's it. And there's no incline whatsoever. We don't want to be like on the right-hand side with all these bumpers and things that are padding things and pillows and blankets. Even those breathable mesh liners that go around the crib are not safe either, because they are a strangulation and entrapment hazard. If they ever become loose in the crib at any point in time, there's potentially 12 hours overnight where baby might be sound asleep, or you think they are, right? So you don't want them to be trapped in something like that. You also don't want anything hanging over the crib, any pictures, mobiles, anything that could potentially fall off and fall into the crib. You don't want your baby monitor in the crib, not attached to the crib rails. Please mount it on the wall, mount it on a universal baby stand that stands on the floor, and it's by your crib. You're also going to want that for some amazing reasons that are going to come up in a little bit as well. Okay. So there all of those details. Then, as I get to the next slide, I included this year in this presentation because these are some really popular products for babies that are very unsafe for sleep. Okay. The mesh on the side of the bassinets, Cami, is totally fine. If your bassinet has been safety approved, that is totally fine, because it's not going to come off, okay? And hopefully, if you have one that zips up and down, make sure that that's totally secured, etc., right? Hi, Louise. Hi. So all of these products are fine for baby when they're awake, but you don't want to let your baby sleep in them, even if you're watching them, because I guarantee you're not going to be staring at them 100% of the time. These products all kind of violate those safe sleep standards in one way or another. The incline, for example, with a baby with a very, very weak core and trunk and structure and neck muscles, right? They can't, like this doll, they can't hold their neck up. And so their neck, while sleeping, might slump slightly, and ever so slightly, just like how a straw bends. That airway can get cut off very, very easily. So all it takes is your baby to be sleeping in or resting in that mamaroo, and all of a sudden they fall asleep. And if their neck bends in the wrong way, they might not be able to breathe. They may or may not show any signs of distress. So as soon as your baby looks like they're tired, that's when you want to go and start their sleep routine, which I'm going to talk about. If you just glance over and you notice that your baby is sleeping all of a sudden, then please take them out and bring them to one of the surfaces that we just talked about. So a bassinet attachment for a stroller, for example, is great. Sleeping in a carrier, totally fine as well. We're going to talk about that later. But a safety approved bassinet, bedside sleeper, crib, pack and play, those are all safe for sleep, just as long as you don't make them inclined. Okay. Things like the DockATot as well. A lot of people love the DockATot, Snuggle Me, lots of those types of things. Again, they're not safe for sleep. There have been suffocation incidences where baby kind of turns their head the wrong way, and the sides of those devices are absolutely not tested for sleep. They're just tested for being awake and playing and resting and all those types of things. Have any questions? I will definitely get to your questions, okay? So just let me know. Now we're going to move into how to actually get your baby some good sleep. Now that we've had a bit of an understanding of the safe sleep practices, and there are a lot more in your handout. Like you can take a pacifier, for example. Pacifiers really help to lower the risk of SIDS. Also, not overheating your baby, so not dressing them in too many layers, also helps to reduce the risk of SIDS. So please look at your handout later for all of the things that are very easy to sort of just read and follow along. Let's talk about sleepy cues, because sleepy cues are one of the ways in which we determine how long a newborn should be or can be awake before they get overtired. Okay, anyone know what being overtired means? For those second, third time moms, you guys know, okay? It's when a child gets too much cortisol in their system where now they are wired awake. And the cortisol is there, it's a natural hormone, but if they have too much of it, it's like drinking a lot of coffee, right? Now they're too wired and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to fall asleep. There's probably going to be a lot of crying involved. So we want to make sure that they don't get overtired. Watching their sleepy cues is one of the ways that we can make sure that they're not getting overtired. We also use wake windows, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So we combine the two, okay? So your sleepy cues are really, really critical. There's 3 stages. You want to make sure that you're noticing the first stage because that's the best time to say, oh, okay, I'm seeing this happen. I'm going to go and get the nap or bedtime routine started. Okay. So when they start, kind of like looking away or turning away from any kind of stimulation, that could be you, that could be a toy that's making music. When they're starting to not be engaged in something stimulating anymore, that's a sign that they're getting tired. Okay. Same thing with, kind of like staring off into the distance, having this kind of blank stare when they used to be engaged with you. Those are great signs that, oh, okay, it's time to, start moving towards our sleep space. Stage 2, these signs ideally are happening when you're going through your bedtime routine, okay? And I'm going to talk about what the right age is to start that and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. So when you see yawning, frowning, pulling at the ears, these are stage 2 signs where they're going to need to be offered sleep very soon, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, okay? If you're looking for the yawning on the playmat, that's actually a little bit too late. Okay. And it's okay. You're not going to be able to watch your baby 100% of the time. So if you miss some of the stages and whatnot, that's okay. It's just, this is just important for you to recognize if you see yawning on the playmat and you'd missed the other 2 kind of signs, that's your cue to say, okay, now we're off to nap time right now. Right. Stage 3, that's the overtired stage. That's the stage where you don't want to be on the playmat during this stage. But you will, recognize these signs, and so you'll have a better understanding of what's happening. Maybe you were coming home and you got late, you got stuck in traffic, and then this is what's happening. It happens to all of us. So I just want you to be more informed so that you have an understanding that now it's just going to take longer. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to put your newborn to sleep if they are arching their back, crying, or extremely overactive and hyper. Okay, those are those 3 signs. On the next slide here, we talk about sleep environment. So sleep environment, wake windows, and the routines, those are all really, really critical things. I'm going to stay on this slide for a little bit because there's a lot of really important information in here, okay? So sleep environment, we really want to make this very womb-like, okay? So baby has just been born, coming into this new world, very scary and different thing. All they have ever known is your womb. That's where they felt the safest, all right? So the key to good sleep is making sure that baby feels like they're still in the womb when it's time to sleep. Because falling asleep is a very, very scary thing. From a primitive perspective, babies are still very primitive. They still don't have many parts of their brain that we have right now. So they're still kind of like a little animal. And they have very primitive instincts. And when they don't feel physically safe, it's very difficult for them to fall asleep and do that very vulnerable thing, which is to go unconscious. So you want to make sure that you're recreating the womb. Please keep this in mind for a lot of the other things that we're going to be talking about. So we want to make it pitch black, no night lights, pitch black. We want to make it cooler, okay, because this is from caveman days. This is all the stuff that we, signaled safety to us when we were in caveman days. Cooler, so around 70 degrees. You can dress them up or down underneath their sleepwear if it's warmer or cooler in the room. And then you also want to have white noise. Ideally, it's actually brown noise. Okay, if you have a white noise machine that does different color of noises, brown noise is actually what you want. Electrofan, the best white noise machine. It lets you choose brown noise. It'll come back on in a power outage. It's amazing. Electrofan. You can find that on Amazon. So recreating the womb and these types of things, like that's all they've ever heard from day one. They've heard your heartbeat. They've heard lots and lots of noise, and it's very similar to brown noise. So that's why you want to make them feel like that when they're in their sleep environment. Now, they can sleep in the light, right? They're capable of sleeping in the light, and that's okay. Some babies are better than others at doing that. And I would always say, if you don't have sleep issues, it's okay to let your baby not sleep in these conditions. But if you're experiencing sleep issues or you want to prevent sleep issues, that's when you really want to stick as closely to this sleep environment as you possibly can. So I'm not saying that you must always have babies sleeping in that sleep environment. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if you want to prevent sleep issues or if you're experiencing sleep issues, we go back to the basics. We go back to biology and do what works, okay? So you're still able to nap on the go, in the stroller, in the carrier, and all those types of things. Especially a lot of you I know have two or three other children, and it's almost impossible to always be in this dark room and all that kind of stuff. That's totally okay. But yes, sleep issues. Then you come back to all these notes and really try and implement a lot of this stuff at least for 2 weeks, and then to have the sleep issues resolve, and then you can go back to doing what you're doing. Newborn wake windows. So you want to use these in combination with the sleepy cues. So the sleepy cues are going to help give you one indication of when they're sleepy, but you also want to take a look at the clock because you might miss the sleepy cues like we were talking about, but you also might, they might start yawning like 10 minutes after they wake up, right? So you can't take all of the sleepy cues necessarily at face value. So you want to make sure that you're pairing them with the appropriate wake window. So if your baby is yawning around the 1 hour mark, that's a really great indication that they really are ready to go to sleep versus if they're yawning at like the 10-minute mark. Okay. So according to how old your baby is, you see the chart there, you can automatically know generally how long they're going to be able to stay awake for. It helps you plan lots of things, visits and whatnot, and then when you're going to need to offer sleep. So if the wake window states 1 hour, for example, that means 1 hour from the moment they wake up to the moment that you want to put them back in the bassinet in that dark room. Okay. It doesn't mean 1 hour until they're sleeping again. It just means the offering of sleep, the very first opportunity to sleep. Okay. Another thing that you want to do is introducing routines. Okay. So from about 4 weeks old, you can already start introducing a routine, meaning a pattern. So before you put them in the bassinet, what are the things that always happen? So we always go into the nursery, for example. We always do a diaper change and then put lotion and then jammies and then swaddle and then, read a book and then into the bassinet. If that's your routine, great. Just make sure you're following the same steps every single time because babies learn from patterns, right? They learn from repetition at this age. And they're going to start to learn this pattern. They're going to start to anticipate sleep. And so their body's going to start producing a lot of the hormones needed in order for sleep. Just like how when you see a delicious whatever, pizza, hamburger, whatever it is, you start salivating, they're going to start expecting to sleep as well. So we want to start the routine. At 6 weeks, we want to make sure that bedtime is moved up to 7 so that we can start a 7 to 7 kind of sleep schedule for overnight. And then we also want to start managing their feeds overnight as well as during the day. So I give you kind of instructions here. Make sure that your family doctor, your pediatrician has given you the green light to do this because it really depends on the weight and it depends on, how well your baby's doing in terms of growth, et cetera. But if everyone's okay, if there's no feed issues, et cetera, then you basically can start to control when they get their feeds during the day. And you want to get ahead of the hunger, okay? So you want to try and start spacing out the feeds appropriately according to this guide. And you want to make sure that you are going in, actually feeding your child when they're asleep and then putting them back down so that we're not waiting for them to cry and get hungry and tell us, right? We don't want them to have to get starving we want to actually get ahead of the hunger and feed them appropriately through the night so that they can get onto the schedule, so that they can start expecting, like their body can start expecting those feeds. And that actually helps them sleep much longer stretches when they don't have to get to a point of, signaling that they're hungry. Okay. So the next page is pro tips for newborns who hate the bassinet. This was my daughter, hated the bassinet, would only sleep on me. Okay. So I'm very experienced in this. If you have more questions about this later, please let me know in my booth, in my chat there. You can go out in your stroller. Ideally, you have a bassinet attachment because that's the safest for sleep, of course. Stroller. Some people actually do stroller in the house. Sure, you could do that too. Carrier, amazing for sleep, amazing for getting lots of things done, and also amazing for your own mental wellness. Please try and get out as much as you can during the day. Just in nature, it helps to reset your nervous system as well as babies. Baby can fall asleep and wake up as needed whenever they want to. Highly encourage using the carrier during the day and then doing all the kind of like hardcore sleep stuff at night. Car seat, I don't recommend them sleeping in the car seat, but if you have trouble getting them to sleep, you can do that, right? As soon as, they fall asleep, then ideally you're back home and you can take them out and put them on a flat sleep surface. And then yoga ball. If you don't have one of those giant yoga balls, get one. Some babies, actually a lot of babies, like being bounced, not rocked to sleep. That is going to save your back, your legs, everything. Okay. My daughter would never sleep except if bounced. And the moment that I found the yoga ball, it changed my life. Now, we talk about all this difficulty of falling asleep. The swaddle is your best friend, really. You want to recreate that womb environment, like I was saying earlier. So you want to recreate the dark, sleep space and all that type of stuff. Your baby right now is like this, in the womb. So you want an arms up swaddle that's going to help recreate that positioning. That's going to help them keep self-soothing on their fingers like they're currently doing. And our swaddle specifically is ultimately your best friend. It's got the swaddle band that's going to give that sensory input that they are nice and safe and secure and their vital organs are all protected. But the best feature about this is, remember when I talked about SIDS? I don't know if this can, I can definitely do the confetti. I don't know if I can click the, you know what? You might have to come back to my booth in order to be able to see this because you know what? I don't know if this is going to play. Here, I'm going to stop presenting this. I'm going to share a screen instead. For those of you who have seen this, who've come to my booth, anyone want to mention what it does? I'm going to put it on my screen. Hopefully you can see this. There you go. See? So with any camera, any baby monitor, you're going to be able to see your baby breathing. It doesn't matter how expensive or cheap your camera is, as long as it has night vision, that night vision light gets reflected off of our patent pending design right there. And as the torso rises up and down, you're going to be able to see your baby breathing. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to show you more of that in my booth, okay? But right now, so we have these three garments. We've got swaddles, sleep sacks, and pajamas. Right now, for those of you who are right here with me, staying to the very end, you're going to get an amazing deal, okay? We haven't done this at all for the Prego Expo until right now, until this final day. Typically, our sleepwear is $64. Right now, with code seminar, you're going to get it $44 until end of day today, until midnight tonight. $44 with the code seminar, and you're going to get any of our guides for free, any of our e-guides. Okay, if you want the pajamas, for those of you who want pajamas instead of the swaddle, and we can talk about that in my booth. You can ask me all these questions about why pajamas, maybe. They are fold over cuffs so that they have the mitts, etc., built in. Those are typically $39, but with the code pajamas, you're going to get them for $29. Okay. And then also the free guide. Now, all of this is only good for today, and you're not going to have to pay for shipping. That's free. You're not going to have to pay for tax. That's included. Okay. And if there's something with your product and you want to exchange it or return it, we offer free shipping on the exchanges and returns. And you can return it for free as well. So if you got the pajamas and you said, hey, you know what, I want the swaddle instead, totally, that's okay. You can ship it back for free. We'll give you a label and we'll exchange it for the swaddle and we'll give you the price difference and all that. Okay, so come back to my booth. We're going to talk a lot more about sleep. I'm going to answer all of the 1,001 questions that are in this chat right now because my lovely co-founder Rowena is capturing all of them for you guys. So she has captured everything. We're going to be chatting in my booth, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for attending. I love you guys. Thank you.